Surprise explorers, I bet you thought you'd seen the last of me. NBC might make Libby and I miss some weeks, but it's all in preparation to have you see us on TV even after we graduate. We wouldn't want you to miss us too much. Hello, I'm Siobhan Nolan.
And I'm Libby Gilliland. Siobhan and I are less than 8 weeks away from getting our diplomas, and while that's exciting and all, giving up our roles as hosts of SportsLine is going to be devastating. But we have one more season of spring sports to cover, so let's get to it. You're watching LaSalle TV's home for Explorer Athletics, SportsLine.
Welcome to SportsLine. It's officially spring, and that means spring sports, duh. We have all of your post-spring break recaps coming up.
And later, Kevin Lydon and Nikita Romanov from men's golf sit down to chat about the season.
But first, let's take a look at our SportsLine top 3.
Number 1, LaSalle's Vice President of Athletics and Recreation, Brian Baptiste, is stepping down from his position at 20th and Olney. Baptiste, who has served LaSalle Athletics since August of 2019, has accepted a position as Senior Deputy Director of Athletics at the University of Miami.
Number 2, David Butts was named the Atlantic 10 Men's Track Performer of the Week this week. The junior from Maryland earned this honor after placing first in the 1500 meter at the Penn Challenge.
Number 3, LaSalle's 10th annual Day of Giving happened on March 21st, and as part of the university's overall fundraising total of over $1 million, our Explorer teams raised over $185,000 from over 1,000 donors.
So Brian Baptiste leaving as kind of the staple athletics director that has been there since we have joined LaSalle, going to Miami, that's a really huge position for him.
Yeah, it is a huge position. I'm really excited for him to, see what's next. Miami is a great job and a great program. It does create a little bit of mix-up in our athletic program. Hopefully they can find somebody in the interim and get a good replacement in for this next upcoming season, but they kind of have to scramble around now to set up the rest of these spring seasons.
Yeah, because there's been a lot of change in athletics and just different teams doing different things. So to have the guy that kind of oversaw all of that now leaving and having to bring someone new in is just gonna shake things up even more. So you'll probably be hearing that on SportsLine next season. But track and field doing amazing things. David Butts getting the Men's Track Performer of the Week this week in the A10. Just another day in track and field. I mean, it's really cool to see them getting more individual honors, especially on the men's side, because you always hear about the Mancini sisters, but good to see the men getting some love too.
Yeah, absolutely. We love to see the men's team doing well, and track and field as a whole is one of the best athletic programs that we have at LaSalle, so exciting to see David recognized for his amazing performance and for the program to get recognized overall.
And speaking of getting some love, our Explorers teams got a lot of love on the Day of Giving. The university and a bunch of different programs in the school raised over $1 million overall. Explorers teams got over $185,000. I think women's rowing was the top earner, which I was very surprised by, but I mean, it's just amazing that our teams were able to raise so much money on Day of Giving.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those donations are from alums, so it's good to see, past people that were in these athletic programs give back, and sports are expensive. These teams have a lot of players on them, and it goes beyond what the university can give us, and we need donations from other people. So it's great to see that there was a lot of people giving back, and hopefully these athletic teams can have a successful season with the extra cash that they have, just kind of fund their trips and things like that.
Yeah, those LaSalle connections really run deep. It's all about those LaSallian values that always bond us. But that's it for the top 3. Now let's see how our teams did in this week's recaps. Men's basketball season came to an end in the Atlantic 10 tournament, where they crashed out against Fordham. The Explorers took an early 5-2 lead thanks to baskets from Jameer Brickus and Mamadou Doucouré. However, the Rams went on an 11-2 run to jump out to a 13-7 lead. The Explorers went on a run of their own to cut the deficit to just 2 points, with points from Khalil Brantley, Jameer Brickus, Rokas Jokas and Deshaun Shepard. It eventually got all tied up at 18 in the second quarter, but another explosive 16-5 run from Fordham made the score 34-23 at halftime. An 11-2 run from LaSalle seemed to prove that a comeback was on, cutting the score to 36-34. The Rams pushed back with a 9-0 run, pulling ahead 45-34 with 11 minutes left. The blue and gold managed to bring the score within 4 points 3 different times, but 2 foul shots from Fordham proved to be the final 2 nails in the coffin, and the Explorers ended their season with a 69-61 loss.
Women's lacrosse had a busy week, starting with a game against George Washington. The opposing team got off to a quick start, taking a 5-0 lead through the middle of the first quarter. Maddie Henderson and Claudia Steinmetz kicked off scoring for the Explorers, helping cut the lead 5-2. Molly Maloney and Steinmetz tacked on 2 more goals, and the teams went back and forth to make it a 9-6 game at the half. 3 more Explorer goals in the second half allowed LaSalle to stay in the game, but it wasn't enough to hold off George Washington, and they fell 12-9. Their next match was at UMBC. A 2-0 start left the Explorers down early, but goals from Katie Johnson and Elena Lathan tied the game up at 4. 4 retriever goals were followed by 2 more LaSalle goals, and Lathan and Mackenzie Click leaving the game at 8-5 near the end of the half. LaSalle would go on to score 3 more goals, but a late 6-0 run by UMBC led to an 18-8 Explorer loss. They continued A-10 play with a matchup against George Mason. This time, LaSalle started the scoring from goals from Steinmetz and Henderson. A 2-goal run by George Mason tied the game. Lathan and Click gained back the lead, and another goal by Steinmetz added on, making the score 5-2 at the end of the first. George Mason fought back from a large deficit, going on a 4-0 run, cutting the lead to just 1 heading into the half. Johnson scored out of halftime to cushion LaSalle's lead, but George Mason took over and outscored LaSalle in the final quarter. The Explorers weren't able to close the deficit and took a 13-11 loss.
The water polo team had a tough week last week, facing off against 2 ranked opponents. The Explorers opened up conference play against number 18 Wagner on Sunday and quickly fell to a 4-0 deficit in the first period. Madeline Corper came out firing in the second period, scoring all 3 of the Explorers' goals going into halftime. Unfortunately, Wagner would tack on 5 more of their own and take a 9-3 lead into the half. The Seahawks opened up the scoring in the second half, followed by a long-range goal by sophomore Francesca Coe to make it a 10-4 game. A 3-0 run by the Seahawks to finish off the third period made it a 13-4 game heading into the final 8 minutes. Corper and Coe would open the quarter with back-to-back goals to cut the lead down to 7, but the Seahawks would finish on a 3-1 run to end the game in a 16-7 win. Despite the loss, Explorers goalkeeper Emma Gurisic would set a program record with 18 saves, breaking her own previous record of 15 set earlier in the season. Later in the day, the Explorers would take on the 24th-ranked Long Island Sharks. The Explorers would keep it close in the first period, scoring 2 goals while holding the Sharks to just 3. The Explorers would add on another 2 goals in the second frame before Long Island tacked on 5 of their own to bring an 8-4 lead into halftime. The third period would play out much the same, with the Explorers finding the back of the net only twice, while the Sharks would add 5 more goals to make it a 13-6 game. The Sharks would capitalize on the scoreless fourth period for the Explorers and ultimately win the game 15-6. Corper and Co. led the scoring again, scoring 3 and 2 respectively, while Gurisic would tally 9 more saves to make it 27 on the weekend.
Track and field kicked off their outdoor season on Saturday at the Penn Challenge. El Mancini led the stride for the women, winning titles in both the 5K and 3K, while Christine Mancini brought home the gold for the Explorers in the 1K. Olabisi Adams led the Explorers in field performance, setting a program record in the long jump, while also taking first in the event. Liam Rivard led the men's side, taking first place in the 800-meter race.
On Saturday, the LaSalle men's rowing team opened its spring season against Drexel on the Schuylkill River. The Explorers won the second varsity 8 race with a time of 6 minutes and 10.1 seconds. The boat was led by Bobby Covello, Luke Iannelli, Thomas Sadie, James White, Owen Moody, Tristan Petetti, Tyler Lancaster, Johan Kroll, and Elizabeth Boyle, and finished 6 seconds ahead of Drexel's 2V squad. LaSalle's varsity 8 team also raced against the Dragons, finishing second with a time of 5 minutes and 59.4 seconds, which was only 3 seconds behind Drexel. To wrap up the day, the varsity 4 boat finished third with a time of 7 minutes and 31.9 seconds. So obviously we want to talk about the men's basketball team in the A10 tournament. It was huge that they got as far as they did. Fordham's a very tough opponent. They had a very strong fan section in the game. They had a lot of interestingly worded signs against LaSalle. There was one that said there's nothing to explore in Philadelphia, so very creative Fordham. But it was just disappointing because there were so many times where they could have gone closer, gone level with the Rams, and the shooting just wasn't there. They were trying too hard to be too ambitious and constantly taking 3 after 3 instead of going for the layups, going for the 2-point shots, which they're very capable of making. And I just think that it could have gone a lot better if they hadn't tried to be so ambitious in the final minutes of the game.
Yeah, they were definitely at a disadvantage going in. You're playing a higher seed, and Fordham clearly had the home field advantage. They were in Brooklyn. It was just a bad draw. But you have to look at how Jameer Brickus played, how Khalil Brantley played in the second round of the tournament, and it was so well. And those are your guys that you have to count on next year, so it was great to see them play that well on that level. Played well against Fordham. Everybody contributed in that game, but like Siobhan said, it just felt like they couldn't quite get over the hump. They had a lot of good shots in the second half that just didn't fall, and it was sad to see, but they didn't make that round of the tournament since 2015. So this team exceeded expectations. Fran Dunphy really made an impact, and the school is excited about basketball again, and you can't really hope for more than that. We're proud of them, and I think they have such a great group of guys coming back next year, and hopefully they get some recruits in too to make it another really good season.
And that's been Fran Dunphy's whole job. You know, he wasn't really expected to come in and magically fix all the problems that arose when Ashley Howard was coach. Yes, Fran Dunphy is an amazing coach. He's a Big Five legend. You know, we don't need to rehash that. Everyone already knows that. But the fact that he's been able to make those improvements, the players respect him immensely. You know, they all have really taken to him as a coach and just as a person. He has a good relationship with them. So has he magically fixed everything? And are we, you know, number 1 in the A10? No, we're not this season. But the changes and improvements were noticeable. The team has become a lot closer. They've all improved as individuals and as a cohesive group. So I think it's setting really good groundwork for what we hope to see out of them, and hopefully another appearance in the NCAA tournament won't be too far down the line.
Yeah, the rapport and the confidence in this team was way better than what they had last year. When we had Josh Nickelberry on, he was talking about how even coming off the bench, a lot of players would be upset about that, but he took it with pride. He said, I'm going to trust what coach has to say. And if you can trust your coach, that says everything that you need to about the program. So I hope that he stays, and I hope they can have another good season next year, because I really feel improvement coming in this program.
Yeah, Josh Nickelberry was not A10 Sixth Man of the Year for nothing. But yeah, everyone's been contributing. Everyone's been putting in good performances. They fight to the very last minute. You know, they're not giving up just because they're down. So would we have liked them to go further in the tournament? Absolutely. But the fact that they made it that far and they put in the performances and the fight that they did is just really amazing to see from a program that really was struggling for a while. So I think if you had told us, you know, 2-3 years ago that we would have been here, I don't think a lot of people would have really believed you. So the fact that we are here is just hopefully something that we can really build on and improve upon as the years go on.
Yeah, you have a lot of recruits coming back. Deshaun Shepard has already announced that he's coming back, which is a huge keep. So you've got the personnel for next year. You have, you know, Nickelberry's graduating, and that'll be tough to lose, but a lot of hope.
Yeah, we're making our comeback to the Sweet 16. You heard it here first. And we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, a men's golf interview is coming your way.
Our story was begun by someone else. Our story was often shaped by generations before them. Our story was forged and maybe even defined by the experiences of our childhood. But it doesn't need to be. You can be the author. Learn how at numberstory.org.
I left the military with a traumatic brain injury. I came home to fight depression, anxiety, and alcohol.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
I'm Adam Greathouse, Army veteran.
DAV helps veterans get the benefits they've earned.
With DAV's help, I've built a new life for myself.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories, great and small.
My victory is just experiencing life.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Extinction is forever. To save America's most iconic and imperiled species from extinction, we must fight for their future. Fight to save the natural lands that wildlife call home. Fight to limit pollution. Fight for smart development. Fight for their future. And fight for ours. For so goes nature, so goes us.
What if one day you went to your secret hiding place and instead of what you came for, you found this? What would you do? The truth is, all drug use comes with risk. Before drugs take their toll on you and your family, know that there is help. You can quit. If you or someone you love is struggling with drug use, call 1-800-662-HELP for 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral, or go to samhsa.gov/knowtherisks.
Welcome back. I sat down with freshman Kevin Lydon and senior Nikita Romanov from men's golf to get their thoughts on their record-breaking season. Take a look. Kevin and Nikita, thank you so much for being here today. I'm thrilled to have some men's golfers on the panel today to talk a little bit about this season. And Kevin, I have to start with your 61 at your first ever event, breaking an NCAA record. Talk me through that event. What was that like, and how did that boost your confidence going forward as your first event ever?
That was really cool for my first tournament. Brought a lot of confidence, a lot of emotion. Didn't really kick in until like a couple weeks after. Had a lot of support from the team and players.
Yeah, awesome and incredible performance. I know your coaches were thrilled about it. It was cool to see a golfer accomplish something like that. We've never seen a score like that in program history. And Nikita, you are heading into your final season as a senior. You played really well in the first event of the spring. What are your personal goals heading into this last season?
Yeah, my personal goals, definitely improving like my putting and chipping and stuff in the short game. I feel really confident with like a driver in my hand. That's stuff on the golf course, and stuff like outside of the course, probably my grades. Obviously my grades are really important, and it's a really big goal to have strong grades going into the last semester. So
yeah, finish with a strong GPA.
Yeah.
Compliance will be thrilled with that. So your first event of the spring, South Jersey kickoff, you all went out and won the event for the second year in the row in very tough conditions. Talk me through Saturday's round with the wind being the way that it was. How did you stay in the game and keep yourselves in contention going into Sunday?
So as a team, we had to stay patient. Just stay confident, stay patient, and relax out there. It was really windy. You're going to hit good shots, you're going to hit bad shots. Once you hit the ball, the wind is out of your control. So stay patient.
yeah, to add on top of that, I think a really important factor for us to stay in contention was taking it one shot at a time. We're not focused on the next shot or the next shot or the next putt, whatever it may be. We're focused on the shot that's in front of us, and we can only focus on that one thing, really.
Yeah, and Sunday's round, did the conditions get better, and how did you close out to get that win, and how did that feel?
Yeah, the conditions Sunday, the second day, were immaculate, so much better. It was a little windy, but it was definitely a lot better, much more manageable. And yeah, I mean, we were in contention, so it was just a regular day of golf for us.
Awesome. And overall, what do you think this whole team's greatest strengths are kind of heading into the spring season?
Ooh, biggest strengths, probably. So normally we'll take like 5 or 6 guys to a tournament. For the first event, we actually took the entire team and we had indies. But I think as a team, we play a lot better honestly, when there's pretty bad weather. And I think we're able to stay in contention and stay above the pack, ahead of everyone else, and put ourselves into contention, honestly, for the next round, which is really important for winning golf tournaments.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we have a good team bonding, and with everyone being there, it made us feel comfortable in those conditions. Yeah.
And what parts of your game, I know you talked about putting and short game, but Kevin, what are you working on heading into the spring?
I work on chipping, putting, almost everything. You can be better at everything, and that's the goal.
Yeah, it's a game that will never be perfect. So
Exactly.
I know short game is something that our coaches are always stressing. It's important to score at the end of the day. And getting into the end goal of the whole season here is A10 conference tournament. Nikita, you've had plenty of experience out there in Florida playing. What have you learned from past tournaments playing in the A10s, and how are you kind of taking that into this year?
Yeah, I mean, I've played in 3 of them so far, and I think Florida golf's obviously going to be a lot different than up here north, but just keeping a cool head. If you're in contention, if you're in the top 10 going into the last day, I think having a level head and just taking it one shot at a time and not just overcomplicating everything. That's my goal. So.
Yeah, and Kevin, what are you looking most forward to? Have you played Florida golf before? And
Yeah, I've played in golf in Florida. It's fun, it's warm. It gets windy, and we play good golf in wind, and looking forward to it.
Yeah, a little bit different conditions, but a ton of fun out there. So there's 10 guys on your roster this year, which is the most that LaSalle's had on a men's team in a while. And you will have to qualify. You only take 5 and score 4. And you talked about last week you took indies, but that's not the case, especially with A10s. What is the qualifying process like, and how do you prepare yourself to qualify for an event?
Yeah, so for qualifying, we'll usually play around 2 to 3 rounds of golf at our local course. And he'll usually take, he'll play it by score, so he'll take the top 5 best scores. And then he'll give the guys another chance if they don't get to play all the qualifying rounds, we'll have them play an extra one. And yeah, it's literally just based on scores, so.
And how do you prep yourself? Is it mentally tough on you? Because, in a tournament, of course, you're playing and you're competing for that score, but it takes a lot to just get to the event with that many guys on a team.
Yeah, you have to treat it like a tournament because you want to go out there and play in a tournament, so you got to grind, focus, give it 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And with 10 guys on the team, it's a lot of personalities and, a lot of fun, but how has the team kind of melded together? There's a lot of freshmen and a few seniors. How's the team dynamic this year?
I think it starts with the seniors giving us a good role and showing us the way.
Yeah, I mean, as a senior myself, I've been trying to teach the younger guys how college works because it's a completely different story from where they came from last year. And just, being good friends, hanging out outside of golf in class is really, really important, especially for these guys. So.
Yeah.
I agree.
Absolutely. And you added a new coach this year. Coach Brian, along with Coach Scott, is helping out as an assistant. What has he brought to the program, and is it helpful having an additional person there on the course to help you guys?
Yeah, Brian's really a good helping hand. Previous years, we had Scott, obviously, and having one coach is just, I feel on the golf course, is kind of not enough. Having another guy like Brian walking around with us so we can have 2 coaches walking with a guy at the same time, really helpful. I think, and it's helpful for our team in the long run.
Yeah.
Yeah, and during tournaments, it's nice to have an extra coach out there, calm you down, make you relaxed. It's just nice.
Yeah, certainly helpful to have somebody read your putts for you, I find.
Yeah.
But Kevin, you are a freshman and have had incredible success already. Looking forward to your next 3 years, what are you hoping to accomplish?
Well, I just want to play well in every tournament I play in, keep practicing, and don't get away from that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nikita, as a senior, ask you a little bit about what you're working on, but do you have any other goals or kind of leadership roles that you want to accomplish?
Yeah, I mean, as a senior, I think I would love for the guys to get together, maybe do some fundraising stuff, obviously, and volunteer work, especially because it's very helpful to have our name out there, especially as a golf team, and to meet new people, new people that can help us get into other tournaments maybe. So I think that's super helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you all have a decent schedule for the spring. What event are you most looking forward to?
I'd say probably our next one, honestly. I'm a big fan of our A10 event in Florida, but our next event's in Rolling Green, which is a super nice golf course. So.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the A10 just because I've never been there, and it sounds like a cool event.
Yeah, it's a fun one. Well, I wish you all the best of luck heading into the spring season. Of course, we'll be hyping you up and keeping up with you here on SportsLine. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to take one last break, and when we come back, we have all the upcoming games you can look forward to. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Explorer Sports are back in action this week, so here's what you can look forward to. Lacrosse will take on Virginia Commonwealth University on Saturday the 25th. Then men's soccer will face Philly rival Temple on Friday the 24th. Water polo will compete at home for the first time this season with matchups against VMI, Wagner, and Villanova on Saturday the 25th.
Track and field will travel to the Raleigh Relays Thursday, March 23rd through the 25th, and women's rowing will be back on the water to face Jefferson on Saturday the 25th.
And that just about wraps it up for us this week. If you can't make it out to see the Explorers play, be sure to tune in next week for our coverage. Keep up with this weekend's other sporting events by visiting goexplorers.com.
Also check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/LaSalleTV and on Instagram at SportsLine LTV. We welcome you to send your thoughts and suggestions there.
For our entire SportsLine team, I'm Siobhan Nolan.
And I'm Libby. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you at the game.